Welcome to Vegan Finds, where for tonight's meal, San Pedro style fish boil. Is that what it is?
San Pedro Fish Market Tray.
The San Pedro Fish Market Tray, we're going to take this and turn it into this.
To this!
So, we have some items here, and what we're going to have to first do is make a marinade for the mushrooms, and we're going to be adding some hearts of palm to the mushrooms as well. So I'm going to get those ingredients out and start the process right now. Okay, so we have to first marinate the mushrooms and the hearts of palm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is about about 2 cups of shiitake mushrooms. I'm going to place that in our bag. I like to use Ziploc bags to marinate because I can squeeze out the air and really get that marinade into our food that we want marinated. So now I'm going to just slice up some of these. I'm going to slice them up right around scallop sized, since we're trying to mimic a fish boil or a fish fry kind of thing. So I'm going to keep these relatively wide. And for the marinade, what we're going to use is a ½ cup of white wine. The wine I have is a little bit on the sweet side, so I'm going to actually add a tablespoon of vinegar to that. So here's my white wine. I'm going to add some champagne vinegar to this, 1 tablespoon, to kind of cut back on that sweetness, because this particular wine, I don't know where I got it from. I think somebody gave it to me. It's super duper sweet, and I don't really like sweet wine. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice here as well. 1, 2. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of the Old Bay. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of Old Bay into this. Give it a quick stir.
What the hell are you using a knife for?
Because I don't have anything to stir, and this is handy. I don't have to be exact. So, and now we're just going to add this marinade to our bag. And basically what I want to do is I want to squeeze out as much of the air as possible. So I'm going to close this part up. And continue. And this is going to marinate for an hour. So I got some of the air out. Not as much as I would like, but for some reason this bag is not sealing as well as I would like it to. So this goes in the fridge for an hour. Turn it once in a while. You could do this the day before and have it sit overnight. Either way, it'll be fine. And we'll be back to show you the rest of our meal. Okay, so while our stuff is marinating, I'm going to just break up this corn, cut it right down the middle, throw it into a pot of water. We're going to cook the corn and the potatoes in advance, chop up the onions and the peppers, so everything is all set and ready to go. So when it's time to put this all together, it'll be done. So we got that in the pan. I'm also now going to make the sauce that's going to go over the fish the mock fish, and I will show you how to put that together right now. Okay, so in order to make the sauce for our fish tray, I need 12 ounces of tomato paste. That would be 2 6-ounce cans, but I don't have 2 cans. I've got a can here. Normally, I really don't like the canned tomato paste because normally recipes call for, 2 tablespoons, and then the rest gets wasted. So I do use this quite frequently, which is tomato paste in a tube, because it'll last a heck of a lot longer than tomato paste in a can. But unfortunately, I'm going to be using the whole tube this time. So you can see the Italian tomato paste is a lot darker than the regular tomato paste. Alright, so we got that. I'm just going to mix it all up. And then we're going to add our soy chorizo to this. So let me just make sure I got every last bit. The veggies are coming up to a boil. My tomato paste, I'm adding basically half a package of soy chorizo, so 6 ounces. Other stuff, I forgot it's in a little casing here, so I'll just pull that out. There we go. You forget these things sometimes. Okay, so we're going to mix that together and then add the final ingredients to our sauce here. Crushed garlic cloves to this. Pro tip, you don't actually have to peel it because the press does all the work. So in case you didn't know that, I'm telling you right now, that's all you need to do, is let the press do the heavy lifting. I know a lot of people don't like using the press. I mean, my palate's not quite so sensitive that I can tell whether garlic's been through a garlic press or chopped by hand. If you're one of those people who can, more power to you. That ain't me. So there we go. So we got the garlic in there. Going to add some spices next. 2 teaspoons of chili powder. That's 1. That's 2. Okay, so we're adding a teaspoon of cayenne, as if the chorizo wasn't hot enough. A teaspoon of Old Bay. A teaspoon of smoked paprika, because who doesn't love smoked paprika? And a half a teaspoon of ground cumin. So I'm going to mix this all in, and then I'm going to add the final ingredient. Okay, so I'm adding 3 cups of water, to which I added 1 low sodium vegetable bouillon cube. And this is basically going to make our sauce. This is going to cook down, so it will thicken up, obviously, once it hits the pan. So I'm just going to stir this up. The potatoes and the corn are ready to go. I got to cut up some bell pepper and some onion. We're going to start cooking that up and get everything ready to go into our San Pedro Market fish tray. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so into my pan I'm going to add a little bit of oil. And we are going to add our red peppers. I'm going to cut up 2 onions, two onions, and I'll add those in momentarily. Okay, so I've added my 2 onions to this. Just going to give it a little stir. I'm going to chop up my tomato, which will go in next. Woo. These onions are potent, making me want to cry. Seriously, my eyes are watering like nobody's business right now. Hate that. But I'm a very sensitive person. What can I tell you? So the onions, you really just want them roughly chopped. They don't have to be, fancy schmancy, as you can see right here. Actually, kind of like them a little bit on the bigger side, especially in a dish like this. So I'm going to chop up my tomato and I'll be right back. Added my tomato to this. Now I'm going to add the corn and the potatoes. Trying not to burn myself. At the same time, trying to get it out of the hot water. Not a good idea without proper utensils. I'm going to just turn up the heat just a tad. Now, if your red potatoes are a little bit on the large size, you can cut them up. These happen to be particularly small red potatoes, which I got for the awesome price of 79 cents a pound. So it pays to buy the Misfits. Misfits taste just as good cooked as the pretty ones. Okay, so we got all that cooking right now. We're just going to let that cook down just a teeny tiny bit. So now I'm going to add our sauce to this. I'm going to let that cook down. Really get everything coated here nicely. So we'll let this cook down and simmer. And while that is cooking down, you might be asking, what about the fish part? Where's that? When does that come in? Funny you should ask, because it's about to come in right about now. I got my stuff in the bag right here that's been marinating for a little more than an hour at this point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this in another pot, and I'm going to cook that down until the mushrooms are cooked, and then we're going to put everything together, and you'll see how it all comes together shortly. Okay, so our marinated fish is ready to go into the pan. We're just going to spoon that all in as best we can while burning our hands. Okay. That's going to be hot. Alright, so now we just have to mix this up a little bit. Now this is going to cook for another 2 minutes, and it'll be good to go, ready to be plated. So you want to serve this with some nice crusty bread if you got it. If you don't, don't worry about it. All right. So we will be plating this shortly. It smells good. It tastes excellent. If you like spicy, this is going to help clear your sinus passages, no problem.
So we finished it off with the little fried mushrooms that we showed you in the po' boy recipe, but we did it with portobello mushrooms, so they look like more like fish sticks, and some gluten-free vegan bread.
So if you like these recipes, if you like to cook what we're cooking, you want to keep pace with us, please click subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we come out with a new video, which is pretty frequently now. Leave a comment and give us a thumbs up! So please be healthy, safe, and sayonara.